once you did kind of create some space and start investing time and dollars and blood, sweat, and tears into the build out of Drip Jobs, how did you formulate your design philosophy? Because you mentioned before, like I tried Salesforce, I tried Zoho, HubSpot, probably some others you didn't mention, and nothing fit perfectly quite for you. They were too big or too elaborate. They had some great functions, but not others. Now you have this cool opportunity to build something essentially custom for yourself. And I'm not saying that's, I shouldn't say a cool opportunity. It's also an extremely difficult task that a lot of people try and very few actually follow through with. So I'm not saying it's easy, but you have this unique opportunity to build something for yourself. What was the design philosophy behind Drip Jobs? What did you build it to do exceptionally well?
Sure. Yeah. As much as I built it for me, I wanted to change the landscape of how sales were done in the contracting space. What's interesting is that whether you use a system like Drip Jobs or not, you are taking your customer through a customer journey. And whether you write down what those steps and stages are or not, it's still happening. You're just storing it in your head. So for me, it was a no-brainer build out to create stages for each customer. It wasn't something that is revolutionary at all.
Not at all.
The big kicker is being able to automate the movement of those stages, because that's a headache. In other words, trying to keep track of everyone that you sent proposals to, or you have estimates scheduled for, or you have jobs on the schedule for, or jobs that are scheduled. I mean, if you look at it, there's 11 stages at minimum that you take a customer through if you purchase a lead. Now, if someone comes in organic, that goes down to 9, but that's just one customer potentially traveling through 9 different cycles or 9 different stages in their buying cycle. So for me, after 4 or 5 customers, it's literally humanly impossible to stay on top of where they are, number one, and to communicate with them effectively, number two, without an automated process. So for me, like, that was what it had to be. It had to move the cards automatically, and unlike any other software in the world, it comes pre-built like that. And that was the big game changer for us, was just making sure that the monotony and the overwhelm of moving people in the right stages had to be non-existent.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And so you say, this is not this isn't necessarily like a cutting edge thing. The idea of a customer journey is pretty well understood. Anyone that's worked in a sales organization or has done lots of sales and marketing knows the flow through from lead acquired all the way through to job booked and deposit, collected. There's many steps, and each client needs different stuff, needs different things, different languaging, different reminders, different scheduling, different steps at every single layer. But this just didn't exist for painters or for contractors. Was it really that glaring of a hole in our little industry for this?
I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I think that none of what Drip Jobs has is like anything that's been invented. You can go to Salesforce and probably build out a lot of this. But again, it's not for contractors, so there's going to be things that are missing. So what we looked at is that many other contractor softwares are very unilateral in terms of their features, estimating and invoicing. Some have scheduling. But nowadays, the expectation of how people interact with businesses is, I want to hear every step of the way. When I order on Amazon, I want a confirmation. When my package is delivered, I want to know that it's been delivered. So why can't we align with the market's expectation of how businesses should, or at least professional businesses should interact with a software that automates those communications? It's
interesting. We've had this conversation a few times. You probably have a perspective on it. I call it like the Amazonification of the customer. In other words, everyone is getting so used to this level of convenience and digitization and just smooth operation of so many things that we purchase and consume now, from Uber Eats to to purchasing stuff on Amazon, to the way books show up on my Kindle. Like, it's so good. It's so good. Is that going to change consumer preferences for the trades and construction market? Are people going to expect more or different things from the average painting contractor over the next 10 years?
I think it's going to happen by default. In other words, if I'm competing against two other painting contractors and I'm the only one who sends you a text message as soon as you fill out our form, and then a day later you get a nice synopsis of who I am, my bio, how I started my company, and then a day after you get sent a link to a YouTube video that shows you our latest project, and the other two contractors, they didn't send you anything, not a follow-up confirmation. They didn't send you the date, time, and location of your appointment. You don't even know the name of the person that's coming to your home. What that's going to do, it's going to elevate the standard. And that's what we're trying to do, is essentially, hey, listen, I'm not going to compete with price anymore. I'm going to compete with meeting you before I meet you. And no one's going to do that better than us. And I think that that's our competitive advantage. Ultimately, when we all show up at the door, the competitive advantage is diminished. Ultimately, at that point, you get a quick interaction. Hopefully you build some rapport, and then it's price time.
Right.
But if I've met you and you know me before I show up, you're expecting me, you're excited to meet me, and then you have a different mindset about me when I show up at the door.
Yeah.
So that's how I believe that the market is going to respond to this. And you've seen that with lead services. In other words, like, people are in the same way, maybe 10 years ago, Benji, people would be a little weirded out if a random person came over and picked you up in their car and brought you to a destination. That would be something that we would say, hey, don't get in a car with a stranger.
That's true.
Now, you know what I'm saying? But now with lead services and lead generation, it's almost like we are ordering home service help to our home to work inside of our home without meeting this individual.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about the way the software automation works is that even if there's a barrier of, I don't know who's coming, we can still build a relationship, that way.
Yeah. It's so clever, man. And I think you said that well. Listen, if you like that clip, you can watch the full episode by clicking here. If you're not yet subscribed, you probably should be, and you can do that by clicking right here.